I have made a lot of YouTube videos over the last 5 years, but about 8 months ago, I stopped making them. Today, I'm going to tell you why. Over the course of the last 5 years, I have made a lot of YouTube videos, and it started with the automotive content. It's always been automotive content, but it started with others and documenting races and spotlighting other individuals, and eventually turned into here is me racing and here is my story of getting in the car and racing and trying to take on the challenges of racing. I did this for a few years pretty heavily. I traveled across the country. I met a lot of you guys, and probably getting closer to a year now, but about 10 months ago, a lot of things changed. I feel like I've seen all the comments, everything. When are we getting content? What's going on? What have you been doing? All of this. So I decided to make this video today to answer some of your questions. I'm going to answer the ones that I feel like I can't answer. And it's taken me a while to get here, but there's a couple things we're going to address. I'm going to go over it with you guys, talk about it, and hopefully put to rest some of the questions that you guys have. First and foremost, why did I stop? Honestly, the first thing on the list was health. Back in October, for those of you guys that don't know, I got hospitalized. I went into the hospital. I've had continuous problems over the last few years, actually more than that, but continuous problems over the years with some stomach issues, some things that may or may not be Crohn's disease. That's a whole nother story. We're not getting into that. I ended up going to the hospital, and at that time, I went to the hospital for an infection, and the infection ended up either getting into my bones, or they thought it was going to get into my bones. It was very close to whatever the deal was. It was a pretty bad infection. That, and it being in October, kind of put a screeching halt to things. So in that time, I was hospitalized for about 2 weeks, and then when I left, I ended up leaving the hospital with a midline in my arm. So it wasn't a full PICC line, whatever, but essentially a line that went from my arm into some veins, something, I don't know, whatever it was. I ended up having to give myself IV antibiotics for like another 2 or 3 weeks after that. So for a total of 4 to 5 weeks, something like that, I mean, I was pretty much down for the count. That did a number of things in my life and changed a number of things in my life that kind of led us to the point where we are now. One of the big things was obviously taking my situation and taking my health consciously and seriously. Up to that point, not that I really hadn't taken it seriously, but when you end up in the hospital like that and you end up having to do, the IV antibiotics afterwards and all that kind of stuff, you kind of start to realize, maybe your time on this planet isn't as long as you thought it would be, or just how easily it could be taken away from you, and you will no longer have that. So not to get too depressing or anything, into that, but it does make you realize and kind of open your eyes to a few things. And one of the things that it opened my eyes to was, just how close I could be. That makes you think about family. It makes you think about the way you've spent your time. It makes you think about how you, what things you want to be remembered for and what memories you want to leave people with. And I'll be honest with you, when going through those thoughts, YouTube just didn't end up at the top of my list, and making content did not end up at the top of my list. I really wanted to spend more time with my family. I obviously wanted to get a handle on some of my health issues and concerns, and since then I have been working on it. I've been working on it with doctors. There's been a lot going on, but I ended up on infusions, and I get those treatments regularly now. There has been some improvement in some areas. There's, decline in others. It's a continuous thing. That was really the major stopping point, was going into the hospital. But in that, some other things changed as well. When I was in the hospital, I very quickly realized that what I do for work, or the way that I had set up my life was purely dependent on, not purely dependent, but heavily dependent on making it to the next event, getting to the next place to film a race, selling enough t-shirts to cover the weekend. All of these kinds of things. I quickly figured out that I can't do those things in the current state of health that I am in. I feel like I've been pretty open about this, but I guess a lot of people don't know. I've been involved in the diesel industry for years. My partnership with Hotshot Secret goes far beyond what I would say a typical, sponsorship deal or anything like that. I've been working with Hotshot Secret for probably every bit of 4 years now, if not more, if not longer. And through the years, that role has varied from gathering content to working directly with their social media department, to working directly with marketing, to a whole number of tasks. But it's something that's maintained pretty consistent throughout the last 4 or 5 years. So I've been heavily involved in the diesel industry, and at the time, it just so happened that another opportunity to work with someone else in the diesel industry came up. So I decided that the best course of action would be to go ahead and take that opportunity. Now, what that opportunity did was allowed me to keep the lights on, keep my family fed, and also keep Brandon around. I don't know if you guys know this or not, there's a guy behind that camera. Brandon works with me full time and has for, I think, coming on like 2 years now, right? Yeah, like 2 years. So, as a business owner and going through the struggles and, just it's like any other business, but, I had to make decisions that would maintain my family and I eating, Brandon and his family eating. We've kind of just done what we had to do to continue eating. I mean, there's no really other way to put that. So we took that opportunity, worked with DNR Precision. They produce Cummins engines and Cummins engines parts. And the diesel industry and family has always kind of been a part of my life for the last few years. In the hospital, getting all that stuff, then taking on this new role with DNR. And then, we went and did sick week, but I kind of knew that sick week was probably going to be the last kind of a trip for us, at least for a little while. I knew that it would be that way, and for a number of reasons. My health still wasn't figured out completely. Between Brandon and I, the two of us probably do the jobs of 3, 4, 5, 6 people at some times. So, we've always got something to keep us busy. And, we've expanded into, dabbling in some other things. Obviously, my role with DNR is a little different than my role with Hotshots, whereas DNR, I am the marketing department. And, I've got Brandon to help out with things. We've got some other individuals to help out with stuff. So there's been some learning curves there, but there's just also been new experiences. We've worked with other businesses. I've really enjoyed taking on the role and the challenges of marketing as a whole, as opposed to just, film, photography, content, which is a part of that marketing tree, I guess we could say, right? All of that's not really important. The important thing is we maintained ourselves, kept our heads above water, and we managed to move forward. That brings in the next foul swoop of the current state of racing affairs, I guess you could say. Oh, we're doing it all in this video, Brandon. Just, you know what I mean? Here's the thing. I feel like at this point, there is a part of me that says I owe it to all of you guys that have ever watched a video, that have ever supported me, that have ever bought a t-shirt. I owe it to you guys, to just be open and kind of speak on it that I haven't really spoke on. So that brings us to the current state of racing affairs. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, no prep is rough. It is hard out there these days in the no prep world. I know everybody's gonna go back and forth in the comments and blah blah blah. Generally, the only comments I really take with any sort of weight or value are those comments from people who I know who have also done it, or who have also experienced it, or have also raced at or attempted to race at a certain level, because I think those are truly the only ones that can understand. A lot of people I still think don't quite understand what's going on in that world, and you know, it ain't easy. If you want to be a competitive small tire no prep racer in today's world, in today's climate, you have to be able to, willing to, and fortunate enough to give it absolutely everything you've got and then some. The fact of the matter is, it seems like all the rules went out the window. Everything now is just small tire, steel roof and quarters at best. You see a lot of these cars that are tens of thousands, if not into six-figure builds, racing. There's very few people that can do more with less. Nick Pluniak is a great example, a friend of mine. He is one of those guys that he can do more with less, where he may not spend as much money as other people, but that dude's also really, really smart and has some skill sets that allow him to do it. I don't have those skill sets. I can't build a tube chassis car in my garage. I don't know how. I mean, I probably could, but I don't have years of experience in that. I've never done it. I surely couldn't do it in the amount of time that he's done it. And I'm just using him as an example because he is one of those guys that can do more with less. But everybody else is doing more, with big blocks, with big turbos, with super lightweight cars, with Fox bodies, with all of this kind of stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, it just kind of became not worth it. Like, it's not worth it to me to drive across the country to spend $200 to $300 on buy-in to try to continuously do more with less. And I am not in a financial position or a personal position where I can afford to do things the way that I would like to do. I'm not saying that would make me any better of a racer, because part of this there's still a skill thing there. There's still skill, knowledge, understanding. But I also know that probably be a little easier if I had a 540 with twins than a 5.3 with twins, you know, like, it's probably a little easier. So I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. I'm absolutely not hating on anybody or, you know, saying anything negative about anyone. I'm just purely stating the facts. My opinion from looking at small tire no prep is that right now it's very hard to attempt to be competitive. And, you know, what guys are running is much faster than what they used to. I'd even go as far as to say, you know, I don't want to go down that road too much, but events, it seems like turnouts are down. It could be partially the economy is down and people can't afford to race and this, that, and the other. But for me personally, I just know, like, I can't build the thing I want to build in the way that I want to build it in order to do the things that I would like to do or what I would find out. Now, that doesn't mean I can't have fun, but it's a lot more fun when you're winning. That's definitely the case. So with that, now you guys kind of see, like, this is like the perfect storm of things that led to why hasn't he made any videos in 8 months? Well, we focused our attention, you know, number one was health. So health, we focused our attention in other areas, started working hard at some of that stuff, and fortunately, I will say, have made continued to make and made a good name for ourselves on many different occasions and many different things in different parts of the industry. And, you know, and then what small tire has become, and I'm just like, I can see it. I see I'm not the only one defeated by this. Like, this is a pretty shared thing amongst racers in general, and it's not just about tube chassis, and it's not just about this, that, and the other. It's just like racing in any other fashion. I mean, it happens in every class. It's not just small tire no prep. The same thing happened in X275 years ago, or, you know, all of these different things. Payouts started increasing, more people started getting involved, money started getting involved, technology increased. It's just the natural progression, and it's very hard to try to control that, you know what I mean, and keep a class together like that. So that kind of is the perfect storm of, well, videos don't really feed us anymore. We found a way to feed ourselves. We don't have to kill ourselves driving across the country, everything, and doing all this stuff to just try to get a video out that I'll be honest, Brandon puts a shit ton of work into. And, you know, we film some pretty high quality stuff. And sometimes it gets pretty defeating to be out there doing all that, to get beat down by, you know, with some cell phone footage. Like, you know, we care about the things we put out. I don't know if you can tell, but this whole scenario of this video here is actually set up specifically for us to film this video. And it's also a passion of ours, you know. Brandon has a high passion. I have a high passion for film editing, for photography, for the actual nature of how it all works and what makes things good and what makes things bad, and how to capture moments. And, you know, it's just been a passion of ours for years. It's kind of how we got to this point to begin with. I need a hydration break, because the one thing we still can't afford is air conditioning in this garage. Now we need to talk about now. Our videos coming back. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you that more and more recently, I've been feeling the itch more. I know that I need to get back into a car again. I may or may not have, over the course of months, spent lots of money on parts for cars, got a new tow truck so that way we could have reliable transportation to and from races and for many years to come. And all in all, I've been kind of setting up to maybe do some things again. The good news is I don't have to. And I think that is the thing above all else that really weighed on me the most, was that I felt like I had to do these things. We had to make the next race, because we had to make another video, because it had to go onto YouTube in order to make a few dollars for the next month to keep us going. And now we're in a position where maybe we have less time, but we don't have to do that. So I'd like to see maybe what it's like to make videos because we want to make videos. Now that might mean that the videos are not what you're used to, or not the same as what you've seen from the channel before. But I think that it would come from our desire and our creativity to do other things and maybe do them in a different way, or just be able to express ourselves more creatively. I would like to get back into a race car. I know that I need to. I drive the Regal around. The Regal is actually my daily now. Because I work remotely and this, that, and the other, like it can be, because I don't actually have to get in the car every day to drive to work. So the Regal is my daily now. I've got a Cummins Mega Cab, which is freaking sweet. We'll get into that, I'm sure, at other points throughout life and videos. But obviously, we still want to make automotive content. There's other content styles that I think we would like to try. I would say would be a good way to word it. And yeah, we'll see. I'll be honest with you guys. It's gonna be more about because we want to do things, or I want to do things, or Brandon wants to do things, as opposed to that forced feeling of we have to. I want to go street racing. I want to still go to, there's some track, you still haven't been to Headhunters in Georgia. Like, how long have I been saying I want to go to that track? Right. I've wanted to go to that track for 4 or 5 years. There's still places that I would still like to experience for the experience itself, and those places are still out there. We've done a lot of cool things. I've gone to New Orleans, we've gone to Philly New Year's Day, we've gone, Ohio's, Tennessee's, Carolinas, all that kind of stuff, but there still are some places that maybe we haven't experienced yet. Maybe we'll try to experience those. Maybe we'll try to experience those and bring that content to you in a different way than what we typically do. The one thing I will say is, in the midst of all this, after 5 years or more, or however long it's been, YouTube finally reached out to me. I don't know what I can or cannot say about it, but I will say that for the first time in years, I have finally made contact with individuals at YouTube, and they have welcomed me into a program. I think that program is specifically about short form content. So don't be surprised if you guys see more of that short form, shorts, reels, vertical style stuff from us, because that's kind of, I think, what the focus is on. But after many years, that's finally happened. I don't know what that means, good, bad, or indifferent. I just think it's funny that it happens to be happening right now in the midst of us having all these other thoughts and other stuff going on. So for now, I'm gonna leave you with that. There it is. There's the story. It's been a combination of things, and obviously life. I forgot that whole part of it, just living life, spending time with my family. I've spent more time with my kids. I've spent more time with Mallory. We've been trying to do other things and grow as a family. And no, not grows. I don't know how you word that. Yeah, don't take that. That's not what I meant. But I meant, like, in our relationships. My brother just came over for dinner last night. Like, I'm trying to grow the bond between our family and our family members, and that's something that's been important too. So I will leave you guys at that. There it is. That's why I haven't made any videos. Are they coming? I mean, this one came, so who knows? Maybe I'll see you guys next time.